I believe we are live. What's going on, everybody? Back with another market recap, stock market prep. Going over what I'm looking at, some review from last week, and then going into the week ahead. I know Chris over at IU did a little sort of interview slash market thoughts with LX21, Greg. So feel free to look that up on YouTube. I'm sure a bunch of the people that watch this have seen the IU stuff. I have not put a link for it. I could, I suppose. I could throw that in the chat. So they did a written portion if you're looking for tickers and actual ideas and whatnot, but I think the video is a lot more entertaining and educational, and I think that's the kind of stuff I like to watch. So feel free to check that one out. Without further ado, I had picked up another couple swings last week, and then stopped out of a couple. The CoreWeave, I stopped out of this one here. Let me throw. Once I pull up the live stream, it takes off my moving averages. So I'm just going to add them back on here. Bear with me, give me like a minute or so. I'll just add all these on. Here we go. Threw some moving averages on there. I've got the 10, the 20, the 50, and then this dotted line's the 200 just because it hasn't been trading for 200 days. So, but yeah, so I was looking for this left shoulder head little breakthrough, right shoulder, and then this neckline breakdown that we got that lined up with this higher low trend. It was fairly clean. So I was leaning right here through the 150s, 160s. Got a nice gap down, tried to push up on Thursday and failed to follow through. Closed right on the lows, looked good heading lower, was below prior support. And then right there on Friday was just a steady bidder, reclaimed the 20, reclaimed a close above the 10, and that was enough for me to not fight it and cut that position off. So unfortunately turned a decent winner. I was up like probably 4R down here in the lows, but was trying to let it work and turned it into a loser and gave the whole position back, unfortunately. So from these entries here, it was up about 10 points and then came all the way back and stopped me out. So it is what it is, but a lot stronger than I would have expected. I put on a position there on Friday on Arlo. The further you look left here, we've got this key little pivot. This is in like the, I believe they make like doorbells and security cameras and stuff, which kind of fits the like home builders theme. Or this one here kind of pocket pivoted off the lows, little rounding bottom action. That was a builder's name. Nail, another builder's name. But there's been some relative strength in the builders. And this one here, I believe it was off of earnings. Let me pull it up quick. Yeah, right there in May. Right over here. Popped up off of earnings through some key moving averages in the 50 and the 200. Went on a nice multi-day run, flagged. Once it broke out, never looked back. So then I had it on watch, then was just waiting for some consolidation. Now we've pushed, consolidated, and flagged. and I'll be looking for a similar move like this one here from 14 to 17, so maybe we get 17 to 20, and then I'd look to lock that one in. So currently have a position there. We'll risk a close below like a 10 or a 20-day moving average. But ideally, you don't really want to see it get back below the breakout level. The best breakouts, they don't look back. But you can see it held this 20 and then started to perk. So I do have a position there. Still holding Caramel, Critical Metals. This one, sympathy with like TMC and what was that other one? M something. I can't remember what the other one was. But some precious metal names have gone on some runs recently, and Caramel seems it was moving with them and now kind of lagging with the rest of the sector. So it's pushing, consolidating, got these wicks off the lows, hasn't broken power bar lows. So if this breaks and fails below 330s, I'll likely have to move on. But it's holding trend really well. Steady higher lows, and if it takes out those 380s, I think game on and probably retest the 200. So it's shaping up really well. This is the kind of action you want to see as it's grinding near the highs. You want to see these higher lows. Not saying it 100% chance it's going to work, but it does have a nice look to it. So I will continue to keep that one on watch. I did kind of have Circle on like a back burner look. I was looking for pulls into the 160s, 170s, but I kind of wanted it here. And what happened up here was it took a bit of time for that mean reversion up to settle in and work. So I'm thinking this backside bounce might take a bit of time to settle in and work, and maybe that's why we got this choppy fade and then maybe a choppy bounce. But typically when they don't act exactly how I'm hoping, I don't have like the patience and conviction to hold for that bigger move. So yes, I did get the pull into the price range I was looking for, but the manner in which it pulled into that level is not the prettiest looking. So we could get a test back up into like 220 or something on like a mean revert bounce, but I'm not sure the risk reward is going to be quite as ideal given how choppy it's been the last few days. So don't really have it on a main watch, just kind of a trade idea that I had up there. Oh, Luke got one of those badges too. It was who was it? Jeff, I think, got it last week. Had no idea what that thing meant, but what's going on, Sam? GB, what's going on? Watch the profit tape be in. Sure, yeah. Bitcoin's been trending really well. Everybody keeps buying those things. BMNR was kind of the elephant in the room there on Friday and last week. I think I did a watch list over here where I was trying to short the first red day. We had a big front side move from like 4 to 70. And then it was the first time going red right over here. We got the pull, Pops versus VWAP started to fail, so I was leaning in there, ended up stopping out through highs. That's exactly why you stop out and don't fight it, because those $50 shorts would be absolutely smoked. But yeah, like Luke said, Tom Lee, he was behind this thing on CNBC. I hadn't heard of him. I'm not a crypto guy. Like I don't know the names in the crypto space. Nate had mentioned it in IU. So I kind of reverse engineered why is this guy significant, and it seems like he's maybe not the guy, but he is definitely a guy that a lot of people listen to and follow in the crypto space. So not a shock that his following was getting behind this. Lower float, and you got this little breakout right here through the 70s. It wasn't the easiest breakout to buy because it was like low a day here was in the 50s. So the breakout was $20 off the lows. In hindsight, obviously $20 a risk, and it went almost $100 in your favor. So you still would have had like a 4 or 5 to 1. But easier said than done to just buy a straight up spike and hope it goes higher. But nice move nonetheless. I'm not super interested in shorting this. It's got like SBET looks, where you get that front side move, pull back, really extend it off that first green day into the breakout. Maybe you get that gap up and push before failing to follow through. But I'd be more interested in this kind of action, where once it pulls back and sets a clean setup for a first green day on the backside, get that bounce and then look to short into bag holders. I think that'll be a higher odds setup with a lot more traders underwater. So if this can pull back closer towards the breakout level, and then once it bounces, get a pop back up into towards 100 before fizzling out, would be a lot more interesting there to me. Something like this, where you get that straight up move, parabolic, fades for a couple days, pulls back towards the breakout level, nice little backside bounce before consolidating and heading lower. So I'd look to trade that blueprint somewhere over here. So far it's looking pretty similar. VOR, the daily wicks are not looking super bullish. Volume completely died. Wicks kept getting sold. Each time it tried to ramp, it sold off and faded right back to lows. Volume continues to stay light, but trend kicked right back in, and it's right back near highs. So that breakout through twos would be something I would have to trade. Buy the breakout, risk lows, and look for a similar trade to what happened over here, where you get multi-day move, pulls back, breaks out, multi-day move, pulls back, breaks out. So we'll keep that one on watch for a breakout as well. GNS starting to flag up here, looking for that mid 150s break. Dates back a few months, almost a year. Maybe 7-8 months now. But this high volume day here back in November lines up right with where it's consolidating. So if this breaks and builds through 150s, could get going. So we'll keep that one on watch as well. What's going on, Jeff? A couple guys with the stickers. Looking good, looking good. CoreWeave has a head and shoulder set up on the daily, maybe a rejection. Yeah, I touched on that briefly at the start of this. I was looking at this left shoulder, head, and then this as the right shoulder, and I was shorting it into here and swinging, and I turned that winner into a loser with that bounce back today because it came right back above my average, closed above the 10, closed above the 20. And after these couple candles where you get this confirmed lower high, a break of prior support under those mid 150s with a little topping tail there on that bar, in my opinion, this should head lower. Big picture wise, I guess it could still fail below 170s, but this was definitely not the action I was looking for. A weak stock. I wanted it to stay below this higher low trend line, stay below moving averages, and fizzle out, but it just didn't happen. So I moved on from that trade idea. Toast still consolidating. BMNR I went over. Arlo I went over. SONN. So far here, this one's gapping up right around the breakout level. We do have a couple overhead resistance levels here that are within the last year, which I deem to be relevant statistically. So basically dating back to June, July of 24 is when I start to count resistance as relevant, whether it's within 100% or within 1 year. So we definitely do have some overhead resistance, but we had a nice big front side move, consolidated for a day, and now a possible sort of third day surge liquidity trap through these 440s. So I will keep this one on watch. Ideally doesn't gap up too much. So far it is right near that breakout level. So weak opens between like this 450 to 4. I like opening range breaks versus lows, and look to join that trend for sort of like a mirrored move of this. This one here went from 150 to 4. So call it 150 to 4, 250. So maybe like a 450 to 7 or something like that. So I will keep that one on watch. Maybe 650, something like that. But a push up into these resistance levels I don't think is out of the question. LAXT, really loved this setup here on Friday. I put it on the watch list as a multi-day runner, but I needed it to start to speed up and extend itself a bit further from the daily 4. Moving average was up from 60 cents up to the 2s, so definitely past the 100% threshold, but then we get the gap up parabolic into 4. So that definitely is an actionable price action for a setup I like to trade. Not necessarily off the open, but once we get this sort of speed up and then you get hard crack lower highs all through here, I like a lean. First highs a day until you get closer to close, then you can use that bounce highs as a guide, which ends up lining up with VWAP for a possible swing idea. So could pyramid into that position. I'm looking to borrow shares basically as soon as I see this thing speeding up. I was looking to short some into pre-market, into the pre-market para, given the daily, and the cheapest borrow I could find was 12 cents a share. And on a $3 stock, getting 5% of the share price for a borrow is not something I'm looking to do. So the setup was good, maybe B plus, but definitely not worth added 5% risk to the name just to get borrows to not even know if it's going to fail by day's end. So we'll see if borrows come down tomorrow. The 4 EMA is still sitting at sub 2. It is at 230-ish here in after hours from the close of like 280. So it is gapping down. If we open in the 230s, I am not interested in the slightest. But if we're opening up closer to 280s, I'll look at that as like a gap into resistance and look for a failed fall through setup. But so far it's not setting up super perfect. And if borrows are the same price tomorrow, then, I'll leave it be. I'm not going to spend that kind of money on something like that. I'm going to have to do some dilution digging here into RGC. It was a scammy company. They had done a forward split, and I was joking on Twitter after they did the forward split, when's going to be the reverse split? And the thing completely retraces the entire move. So I imagine this is going back to $1, and then they reverse split, get the price back up, and then fade it off again. Nate's comparing it to MLGO, like over here. And I don't hate that idea where you've got this little breakout here, fails to follow through, one last hurrah before fizzling out. Just can't be something that you oversize in case you're caught in some sort of gaps. Not sure I really love this for a swing, just given the shenanigans that it's had. Clearly had some bigger players involved in this in the back end. So I'm thinking maybe look to like short some sort of opening range and risk a high or risk prior bar highs or something, and just look to short the open, cover by close, and just rinse repeat. Similar thing here that worked on Mullen. You get that move. I had shorted it this day and then just never went back to the well, but shorting it and covering it, shorting it and covering it, shorting it and covering it. There's definitely still some meat on the bone. So I think RGC probably ends up back near $1 at some point. Just a matter of when, not if, I think. If you remember OST, where you get this massive 80% down day, PHH is hitting my radar on scans, just a steady bidder. This one's also a China name. This obviously higher price, but it probably ends up back at $1 at some point. I don't know when. There's a bunch of chats, promoters and stuff that are not necessarily pushing this name in particular, but they're starting to come out of the woodwork. They're posting legit names, but trying to build trust in the chats and the promoting communities, which typically means there's a pick coming soon that they will try to dump on retail. So I'm just kind of scanning for steady daily walk-ups, and if there's China names there, then I'm just throwing them on radar, and PHH is one of them. So worth noting, and see if we get a massive fail on that one. So in summary, Caramel and Arlo, current positions along those, VOR, GNS, SONN, some other longs for breakouts that I'm going to watch for tomorrow. PMNR, don't really have high hopes in trading this tomorrow. If I get a gap up parabolic, so far I think this favors a gap down given where it closed here in the 140s-ish. 130s, 140s, it's gapping down so far. So I think it favors a gap down. But if I were to get that gap up parabolic, kind of like an LAXT sort of example, gap up parabolic, I'd kind of be forced to trade it. My hand would be forced to start to borrow that and look to short side. But what I'd much prefer is let it fade back to the breakout level, get a backside bounce, and then play the bounces on the backside for the quiet fader once it's off everyone's radar. Because right now everybody and their mother is trading this thing. LAXT, if I can get close enough to red to green, I'll look to short that if borrows make sense. RGC, possible replay. I'm going to look into the dilution and kind of try to reverse engineer Nate's thesis. I haven't dug deep enough, but I see the chart similarities. I just need to understand if it's as dilutive as those MLGO and Mullen types, which was the whole thesis on my end for swinging those names. So, yeah. That's about what I've got on watch going into tomorrow. Again, I put the link in the chat at the beginning of this, so feel free to check out Greg and Chris's little discussion here this Sunday evening. And yeah, I will see some of you in IU, and the rest of you I will catch you on the next watch list. So take it easy, guys. Trade them well. Catch you later. Peace.